Hey, what's up, guys? It's your girl Lily. So, I'm gonna sit here and we're gonna talk about this Raven-Symone. Now, I seen on my newsfeed today about her making a remark on, of course, The View about how she wouldn't employ someone with Africanized names or exotic names, or whatever the fuck she put it. And she made an example about water balloon Drea, and we know that water balloon Drea is a persona done by Tre Melvin on one of his YouTube channels. So I've been saying this for quite some time. Chill with the names. I know there's are names that people just throw out there because they think it sounds cool, and people that give out names because it's a meaningful name that they thought of and that would carry on throughout their lifetime. Now, my name is Alicia, so most people that I've known that had my name have been white girls. So, like I said, you can never base somebody based off their name, but when you come to choose a name of your child, you should think about their future. It's a time now that any little thing can hold you back, whether it's your name, your ethnicity, your sexual orientation, or your religious views. So when it comes to names, you have to really think about how it's going to affect your child. So there has been times where I've heard names or I've seen names that my child has says or in her class, and I'm just thinking, oh my God, what the hell were they thinking? Now, I'm not saying that naming a person is the only way that you're going to establish a fantastic life, because of course you doing that is your parents' obligation when you are little until you're the age of 18. That is their teaching point to you. Now, I'm not saying that, like Tre Melvin has pointed out, that just because your name is Bob, that you are just this fabulous worker, because there are some people named Bob and that are fantastic workers, and there are also some people named Bob that sit on their ass. So that goes for whether this person is named Becky or whether this person is named Shaquifa. So people don't think sometimes when they come as far as names. Now, if you are going to name your child, please think about this before you sign that name on that birth certificate. And as I've given birth twice, they give you a few days before you write that on that thing. So let the drugs wear off and really sit and think about what you are going to name. Now, I have a couple of my friends that are expecting. Some are thinking like some unique names, and I'm like, okay. Others, I'm just looking at them like this. So please be mindful of how you name someone. That also goes for your appearance, your history, whether it's working, anything that you do outside of work, because if you are an employee, you are still, whether you believe it or not, representing your workplace on and off the clock. So be mindful of how you act. Don't get the job and start acting like DMX on ecstasy and shit. I'm just saying. Now, to get back to Raven-Symoné, we all recognized her when she was younger, and she done the Cosby Show, to where she grew up, and she's done the Cheetah Girls, and that's so Raven. And lately, she has said some things that made sense, and then she said some things that, was a lot of bullshit. But at the end of the day, when it comes to what she was trying to say, and how everybody took it, this is my opinion, because I wasn't feeling under the weather, so I've read and watched Tre Melvin's response, and then I decided to make a video myself. So this is what I'm saying on my behalf. I understand where you're coming from, Miss Simone. Sometimes the things you are saying you don't clearly think, and it's okay, because this is why it's called an opinion. Everybody's opinion isn't 100% accurate. But when I was raised to be a smart individual. I was taught that in this day and age, that being a woman is hard enough. in a man's world. Sometimes when us women, we have to work harder, at the same job as opposed to a man, or we have to work harder because, we could work as hard as we want, but the boss is still going to give it to a friend or somebody that they know, and it doesn't matter. So we have a disadvantage as little as being a woman. And sad to say, racism still exists, and we have a disadvantage of our race. But I'm not saying that is your block to not become better. So if you want to have these exotic names, give a normal name. And I mean, there is nothing wrong with being unique, but sometimes, ladies, you do not think when it comes to naming your children. If you have to think of a source of this, your child has to grow up without you. They can't be under your tit 24/7. They're going to have to go off into the real world. And sometimes the name is a form of, how people are going to see them. And it sucks that, you're not going to be, you got to go by a name to see, who you are without knowing the person. You can't judge a book by its cover as well. But you have to think as if you are someone, looking through applications yourself, you have to prove somebody wrong, but you cannot give nobody names that that if you were an employer that you wouldn't give yourself. But I'm not saying that just the name standpoint, disadvantage from job opportunities. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that people judge people sadly on how they look. Like if I was dressed, with my cleavage way down here, and a mini skirt and knee-high boots and big hoop earrings, and apply for a job, let's say in elementary school, you think I would be hired if I had a fantastic resume? They go by looks as well. That's why they have interviews, so they could see how you are as a person. But if you're going around naming somebody this crazy name, they're going to overlook that because the name is distracting. So as a person, I give my kids normal names that I think is normal, because sometimes what sounds normal to us doesn't sound normal to others. But I gave my kids names that I know that they don't, someone says their name and they don't have to feel as embarrassed or stereotyped. And we're going to be stereotyped regardless because we live in a hypocritical world. But I'm just saying, as I can see where she's coming from and where I'm coming from, I was taught you have to think ahead. You got to constantly keep thinking ahead, because you can't stay in one spot forever because the world is still spinning. So when it comes to names, think about it. Just as if we have to think about our actions, because we go out and we name our kids whatever, but we have to think of all the actions years from now that was going to kick our kids in the behind because we weren't truly thinking. So think about that when you start naming names, okay? So anyway, this is Lily, and I'm out.
Nah, 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 come on.